Welcome back to Marvel Mondays. I am Mike.
And I am Brendan.
So, brand new day. It's a brand new day, isn't it? So we did our first of all, fair warning. This will be a very spoiler filled episode. So if you if you haven't seen Spider-Man Brand New Day yet, and you don't want to get it spoiled, wait to watch this episode until after you see it because it's gonna get spoiled otherwise. We left our thoughts, our initial thoughts, right after we saw Brand New Day, and yeah, now this is going to be more of a full kind of review, I guess, and yeah. So why don't you start off, Bram? What were your thoughts, including any spoilery stuff?
Yeah. So I know I said in the initial reaction that I thought it was the top Spider-Man film. The more I think about it, I think that it was a really good movie, and I think that it fills a area that none of the other Spider-Man films have ever done, which is what kind of left me a little confused, because I felt like this movie was more about Peter Parker than it was about Spider-Man. And I almost think that was intentional, the way that they ran through those villains. Like, they had so many villains, just that it was just like, oh yeah, he fought the Hand, Tombstone, Scorpion again. Yeah, he fought Ramrod. Like, they just ran through them. But I think they did that because it was like, this isn't necessarily a Spider-Man story. It's Peter Parker's story of trying to, like, figure out his emotional state and, like, how to get back to balancing Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Because it's kind of like the Andrew thing in No Way Home, where Andrew Spider-Man was saying, what was it? Where, like, Toby was like, do you have anyone at home? And he was like, I don't have that much time for Peter Parker stuff.
Right.
It's almost like Tom fell into that.
Yeah. So, I also feel like, with what you're saying too, in a way, it was also kind of like Spider-Man 3 in that, that's where, or was it Spider-Man 2 where, like, I think it was Spider-Man 2 where for a while he's not being Spider-Man, he's just being Peter, in those. Yeah, that's a take that hadn't hit me, but that's very true. Yeah, that was one of my observations, was like they threw all of those villains that everybody was so excited about in literally the very first sequence of the movie, just the same scenes that we saw in the trailers of him fighting those characters. And it's funny because for everybody being like really excited that Scorpion was back, basically from the last time we saw the Scorpion character was in Homecoming, so the very first one. It was, and that character does come into it later in the movie, but it's
still not.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, "Oh, Scorpion's back. He might be the main villain." I thought they were going to give Scorpion the symbiote. I thought he was going to have a way bigger part in it, and
nothing. Exactly.
I did laugh at the one point when they showed, it was when they were running through all the villains he's been fighting.
Right.
And they show that scene where he's fighting the Hand, and there's nobody else there.
There's nobody else.
Theorizing of like, oh, there's got to be someone helping him. And it's, no, he's just fighting them.
Yeah, just him. And somehow he beat them. And there was something else related to all of that, too. Yeah, I mean, the Hand does come in later in the movie. Because they're being like used by DODC, as kind of an enforcement arm. And obviously, let's talk about a few of the things that we were wrong about. First of all, we were wrong about the black eyes having something to do with mind control, because they really didn't. They really were, Peter's struggle.
But it wasn't really what everyone else thought, because it was the symbiote and then it was Man-Spider.
Right. Yeah, and it was neither of those.
It was just his genes mutating, and it was just like almost a symbol of that's when it's full arachnid.
Right.
Right. Kind of Man-Spider, I guess. Just not to the extreme
Just
that
not with the 6 arms. Yeah. Now,
yeah.
now is that something they do later on that they say, that's a continued evolution? I don't know. It seemed like by the end of the movie, he kind of had it under control where he could, turn it on when he wanted to and went, leave it off when he didn't. Um,
Hmm.
and obviously, the big one that there was so much speculation on, the Sadie Sink character, was in fact Jean Grey. It felt so anticlimactic though when they, it got to the point where they were, finding out who she was, and it came up with her name as being Jean Grey. It was like, oh, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
which is
Yeah.
that part of it was kind of
It
funny.
makes me wonder though, like if you were so disconnected and you're just like, oh, new Spider-Man movie coming out, sweet.
Yeah,
You know, would
yeah,
that have gotten you?
yeah. I don't know. I don't
Maybe.
know. Yeah, I
Like
don't know.
it
I
kind of
mean,
makes me want to disconnect for any future movies,
just
you know,
yeah,
to have
right.
that
Like not.
experience.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That would be, yeah, it would be a different experience then. Like you'd
But
be like,
then
what?
also like if you're not a huge fan that you would be like looking into those types of things, right? Like not
Yeah,
necessarily like looking into like spoilers or anything, but I feel like it's kind of hard to not assume watching the trailers if you know the comics and everything to be like
right,
that's probably Jean Grey, you
right,
know?
right,
Um, like would you have known who Jean Grey even is?
right, right. Exactly. Yeah, if you're a
Yeah.
very casual person, you wouldn't know the character at all. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and let's see some of the other things that people thought was going to happen that didn't. One of the ones I heard was that MJ was going to die.
Hmm.
There was a point in the movie where I did think that was actually going to be the result, and I thought that was going to, in some way affect Peter. That didn't happen. There were people who thought that Ned was going to die. That also did not happen. Um, and probably the biggest one was there were people who thought that Peter was going to die, and he was going to be brought back in the end by the symbiote. That also did not happen. So
Can I say though, when they had there were rumors of, did you, I don't know if you saw any of those ones where it was the cover of the Death of Spider-Man, or not the cover, sorry, it was a comic panel for the Death
hmm
of Spider-Man,
hmm
where it's Punisher carrying like Spidey's dead body still in his suit and
yeah,
everything.
yeah,
And when there was that scene where they recreated that cover and he was carrying him, I was like, oh my God, they're doing it. Like, I thought
yeah,
that was going to be it, was that they were going to
yeah.
kill him and have him, like, be resurrected in the end credit or something, you
Right,
know?
right, right.
Um, so yeah, I thought that one was for sure going to happen.
Yeah.
At that
So
point, I was more wondering how they were going to bring the symbiote in because it wasn't throughout the entire movie.
right,
I was like, they're not just going to kill off Peter and
right.
have him not come back, you know?
Yeah, I could have seen though that it would have had something to do with DODC, since like this was very heavily like for
Like
anybody who
they
who
have the
hasn't.
symbiote in
Yeah,
DODC or something.
yeah. For
Hmm.
anybody who doesn't realize it, by the way, the villain in this movie was not Jean Grey.
Hmm.
Yes, there was a lot of stuff. Like, she is primarily the one that Spider-Man was fighting throughout the movie. She was not the villain in this movie. It
It's
was DODC
it's
100%.
almost similar to an Age of Ultron when it was Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch,
Yeah,
that they were villains in the first half, and then
yeah,
okay, now they're on the good side. It was
yeah.
almost that. Aside from that, like, did Jean even like really? I guess like technically she fought DODC, but she was fighting DODC for her own reasons, not really to
Right,
like help Peter. I guess she
right,
saved him by like breathing for him at the end there.
right. Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah, in the end, she turned it around by saving his life. So one thing I noticed, by the way, after all the action's over and they're showing her kind of going her own way, I kind of felt like the area it showed her going into had very much the feel of, well, couldn't this be where like the X-Men like the mansion is, the
hmm.
you know what I mean? I felt like that area that it
Yeah,
showed her driving into or going on a bus or whatever it was.
But you would have
Kind
had
of
to
looked
have
like it
had
could have
an
been that early.
established Professor X already, right?
Well, I mean,
For her
so
to
if
be
you go
showing
back,
up, unless they were in like a secretive,
yeah, I think
you
that.
know.
I wonder if at some point they're going to tie it in that somehow the snap or the incursion caused by by Doctor Strange's spell in No Way Home caused the X mutation to happen, the
Hmm.
X gene mutation to happen, um, because you're right. If you think back to the other X-Men movies, like they they being like Professor X, he um, you know was in touch with or was involved with Jean Grey when she was like very young.
Hmm.
So clearly that's not going to be the storyline in this rendition of the X-Men. um, so but he's got to exist, right? I mean, he's got to already exist somewhere.
Hmm.
So, and I've
But
seen some things on casting for those roles. Not
so
that we want to get into that.
here's where it gets weird though, is that she had that sister that I don't remember her having a sister in any previous movies,
Right,
and certainly a sister that had the same powers as her.
right.
So even more so, like, wouldn't Professor X have like gotten that, like, these
Yeah,
two sisters that have those abilities?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, that's where I'm going to be interested to see how they
Mm-hmm.
bring the whole mutant like
Yeah.
saga really to life.
Or
How they
is it going to
introduce it.
be that there's going to be these random sort of like mutants out there, and that all gets solved in Secret Wars when
Right,
they're saying that it's going to be one universe? So
right. That could be.
she's our
That
Jean
could be.
Grey, but there's going to be a Professor X that comes in, and
Right,
all of it gets
right.
solved that way.
Yeah, that very well could be. That would make a lot of sense.
Um,
So go ahead.
no, I was going to say one thing I missed that I've been meaning to, I meant to bring it up to you after we saw it, was did you catch in the beginning, because the intro, the Marvel Studios like animation and everything,
Right.
did you catch what they did with it being like just Spider-Man?
Yeah, I
How
noticed
they
that.
had it with the like text on the screen of the script where it says like do it, make everyone forget me or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you slowly see Peter disappearing, and it was either that like they would cover up Peter with Spider-Man like in the mask, or they would just have
Right.
him completely disappear from the scenes.
Right,
That
right.
I thought, is that them explaining like how the spell worked, that it's like
Yeah.
either in those moments where it was like Spider-Man unmasked, they throw the mask on him, and
Right.
they remember him just with the mask, or they just don't remember anybody there.
Right, right. Or that well, and they kind of got into that a little bit with Ned and MJ, like remembering that Spider-Man saved them at the
Yeah.
Washington Monument and in Europe and all of that, but not knowing who he was, not remembering who he was. Um, so that part of it, they kind of explained that that's how it would have been, but it is there's always been parts of it that are weird because it's like, okay, so nobody remembers who like Peter Parker is, but then who
Mhm.
does Ned think he hung out with in high school?
Yeah,
You know,
that's
like
what the one thing I saw said was like something about like reminder that Ned just thinks that he had no friends throughout most of his high school.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. And then the other one that was kind of funny to me was all the theories about um, who the MJ's boyfriend from
Hmm.
this movie was going to be. You had mentioned a couple of the villains that they were saying he might be because there was like a motorcycle helmet in the one scene and that. And
Hmm.
when we were watching the end of the movie and the end credits, it literally just lists him as MJ's boyfriend. He didn't even have a name, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, yeah.
They didn't
Well,
even give him a name.
yeah. I mean, because he had like what, that one line where he just
Yeah,
brought the like drink, whatever it was, and
yeah,
then that was it. You never saw him again.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So So yes, one thing that I also I think was a little disappointing was the like how Hulk was used in the movie. Um, because he did become Savage Hulk for the first
Hmm.
time since what, Age of Ultron, I think.
Well,
Well, no, I
Ragnarok.
guess, well, Infinity War, beginning of Infinity War. I guess
Yeah,
he was Savage
yeah,
Hulk there.
yeah.
Um, but like even the Ragnarok and Infinity War Hulk, was more of a
It's more coherent.
he
Like,
was a more coherent, in control Hulk, not like a completely out of control Hulk.
yeah.
Um, and but the like he was really kind of underused in the movie, and I was surprised by that because it was really, the first scene with him going to Banner and asking him about mutations and that, and then like that was kind of it, and then it was her going to uh, Banner and getting him to remove the inhibitor, which became like Smart Hulk then, but a Smart Hulk that was being controlled by her, which makes it a lot more dangerous. And then, of course, at some point, like the Hulk just took over, and
Hmm.
she couldn't mind control the Hulk, which was also kind of interesting.
Hmm.
Um, and then that was kind of it. Like there was that that fight between them, and then
Yeah,
Peter basically did the equivalent of saying, "Sun's getting real low," and he got him to kind of. I thought it was
yeah,
interesting too, like when he's being pulled by all Peter's webs, by all that you know stuff off the building, and it's basically going to pull him down the side of the building, and he just lets go then, because he's like,
hmm,
realizing what he's done, kind of.
hmm. I think that it's like if I feel bad for Hulk fans over the past couple of years because like I don't think that really since probably like Avengers: Age of Ultron he's had like a good con- uh, what would be the word, like a consistent like way that he's being portrayed, you know?
Yeah,
Because I
yeah,
remember when he went to space in Age of Ultron, everyone was getting excited that you're going to have World War Hulk, you know?
right,
And then it
right,
goes into Ragnarok, and you kind of get something good there,
right,
in that, like, it could lead to something like that. But then it's like, all right, then they use him as a sort of like beating bag for Thanos to
yeah,
display his power.
right,
You don't see him in the rest of Infinity War. You get into Endgame where he's Smart Hulk and like he's
yeah,
Smart Hulk,
yeah,
and then it's like you have the entire She-Hulk thing, and then even now, it's like I don't know. That was the one disappointing part is that it's like, what would Hulk have a connection to Peter or Spider-Man for?
right, 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 exactly.
That would make
Well,
him stop.
I I think when he said it's Peter, I think he wasn't trying to connect to Hulk. I think he was trying to connect to Banner at that point.
But that's what they
I
always
think
said.
that's what it
Hulk
is.
doesn't like. Hulk doesn't want to be called Banner or
Yeah, I get that, but the whole thing with wow, with Black
Natasha.
Widow
Yeah.
and her, yeah, with Natasha and her saying, Sun's getting real low and all that. That's her connecting to Banner. I think. I don't think that's her connecting to
Yeah, to,
Hulk
to,
in any
to,
way.
to
So
try to overpower, have
yeah,
Bruce
yeah.
overpower Hulk.
Which, speaking of Black Widow, that's the other kind of rumor thing that was confirmed, is the scene of the two of them, seeing each other naked, and it wasn't Peter
Hmm.
wasn't naked. I thought it was a great touch that he kept his mask on with his boxers.
Hmm.
Um, but that was accurate. I thought that was a little that was a little weird, like that whole interaction. And so one thing in retrospect that I'm a little disappointed by is they didn't do really a good job of explaining any of these relationships that Peter has. In other words,
Hmm.
how does Peter know, Elena Belova? Like, how does he know her?
Hmm.
How did he? They kind of talked about the backstory of Peter somehow saving Frank Castle, and that's how he and Frank know each other. But like, I just feel like it's just kind
Yeah.
of weird because
It
we
feels like
just
there was a
had.
whole movie in between Brand New
Yes.
Day that we missed.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how do we, like we had the Punisher, special on Disney Plus. Didn't really talk about Spider-Man at all,
Hmm.
and now we come into this, and they're like at least acquaintances, and somehow Spider-Man saved him.
Hmm.
So I mean that part and the part with and I still think it was like a really good movie. I'm not taking anything away from what we said the other day. I've seen a lot of people giving it like saying, oh, it's as bad as Ant-Man or something like that, and I'm like, you're just trying to get engagement on your
Yeah.
social media. You don't really believe that because it was a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, look at its box office. It's like have you seen what it's done? It's like beaten
Hmm.
Endgame, I think.
Hmm.
Um, so it's
Yeah.
definitely doing okay in the box office. But
I
yeah,
saw people describing the Staten Island thing as the new Budapest, or
okay, yeah,
that like they'll yeah.
yeah,
But like
okay,
I think that the issue is that because Spider-Man is still with Sony, you could have thrown Spider-Man in the Punisher one shot, and that would have been a completely different thing.
right,
But I think it's because they can't really use Spider-Man like that without giving
right,
that cut to Sony that it's like it does make that more difficult.
yeah, yeah. I guess to explain it in this movie, you would have had to made the movie like a lot longer. Although we said there were parts of it that felt
Yes,
like
load
they
it didn't
could have
fit
been,
there.
yeah, like so you could have maybe sped up some of that and given just a little bit of that kind of backstory as to like
Hmm.
because I really thought that they were gonna either in the One Last Kill or in this movie they were gonna somehow explain that relationship.
Yeah, yeah, like even
That,
just how they met, or like,
yeah,
the one thing that I was wondering though was so No Way Home ends with them still forgetting or them forgetting who Peter Parker is, but it's then Jay Jonah talking about like if he was a real hero, he'd
yeah, it'd
show
show
his
his
face.
face. Yeah,
So like they're still talking and they still remember like the whole reason of not liking Spider-Man was because he killed the hero Mysterio.
right.
So everyone still knows that. They just don't know who Peter Parker
Oh,
is. They
true.
don't know that he's Peter
True.
Parker. So what
Right.
would have flipped in people's mind that quickly? And maybe it's just him fighting the crime and everything. But like you
Yeah.
would still have like he was fighting all the villains and the Daily Bugle was going out still saying that like Spider-Man's not the hero in this. So like
Right.
wouldn't you
Right.
still have that? You wouldn't you still have J. Jonah Jameson saying that about Spider-Man and like
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
swinging like he's like a beloved hero now all of a sudden. I
Yeah. I
guess
mean,
it's a 4 or 5 year jump, but still.
Yeah, which it is. I mean, if you think about it, they were away at college for 4 years, so it is 4 years since that ended. Um, but you're right. I mean, the exclusion of Jay Jonah, I thought was interesting. I mean, yeah. Again, the thing is, he's a hero. He's gotten the key to the city. That doesn't mean they couldn't still have him, somebody who's against him all the time because that's what they did in the Tobey Maguire ones. Tobey Maguire got the
Hmm.
key to the city, I think,
Hmm.
and you know, Jay Jonah was still anti Spider-Man. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was interesting. I feel like we're saying a lot of negative stuff about the movie, and that's just not
No,
that's not really
I don't think it's a negative. It's just it leaves me wondering like yeah, it's just like questions, I guess, after
yeah,
watching it.
yeah,
Like
and
not
again
necessarily
with
again. I still think it's a really good movie. I was saying I want to go see it again, like
yeah,
probably in the theaters.
Yeah.
It left
Yeah.
me the moment when was it when the scene where they go back to the Peter's bedroom and he's
Hmm.
talking to Aunt May. That was, I think, the
Oh, right.
moment when I said in our immediate reaction that I was saying like, uh, wow, why can't I remember her name? Marissa Tomei. When she that like she played that Aunt May part and everything perfect because that was supposedly right after the homecoming scene where she discovers that he's Spider-Man. She sits
Right.
down and she's having that talk with him and everything. That scene was like played so perfect. Like that was
Yeah.
one of those moments that got me all choked up because it was like
Yeah.
taking you back to that homecoming period where like aside from like the talk that she's giving him, it's just like, man, it's been a lot of time since homecoming, huh?
Yeah.
You know?
So I was trying to figure this out. Do you think that scene was recorded for uh like to be in Homecoming or in maybe the sequel, maybe Far From Home? Or do you think it was because it was clear that the Peter in that and the Aunt May in that were younger. Now that's where I don't know if it
Yeah.
was recorded for that and never used. If it was one of those deleted scenes, or if it was made now and it was
I
they
think
just
they
did de aging.
I think they probably de-aged because they
Yeah.
probably like wanted to fit the dialogue and everything. The way that
Right.
she was talking to Peter, but you were able to fit it to Jean in that moment.
Right. True. True. That is true. That is true. Yeah, I thought that part of it was that was a really nice kind of touch, a nice way to like wrap that up. It's also interesting to me because they said that like historically in like the comics and that like there was never really a like relationship there between Peter Parker and Jean Grey, and
Mm.
they've now established one. I mean that is realistically they've established one.
Yeah. Um,
So
the ending of it when MJ goes up to the roof of the school, I believe that's at, and
yep.
he's holding on to her Black Dahlia necklace.
Yep.
Um, and then tying that into Ned and Peter doing their handshake, and then him saying
Yep.
Peter. So I saw
Yep.
people saying that him saying Peter is because no, it's not him remembering. It's that he's connecting the dots of MJ calling Spider-Man Peter, and he says, "Wait, Spider-Man's name is Peter," and he's
Right.
connecting the
Right.
dots there.
Right.
I feel like, and I saw this. I'm not seeing it like prevalent, but I've seen it in like a few places that when Jean did her freezing of everyone, that was her like filling their minds. That was her like almost
Right.
breaking the spell for them.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah,
the
because
only
in
reason I
that
would believe,
scene, MJ, there's the tear
hmm
running down. Yeah.
yeah, and why else would that be happening? So
Right.
I could
And
believe
then the
that.
Black Dahlia thing too. You're right. Like ties into that.
Like she'd been wearing that, so why now all of a sudden would she go up to the rooftop where they were and hold on to the necklace that he gave her? You know.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
I was
Yeah. Yeah. And
I was wondering like if that's not it, if it is that like hey MJ's just MJ and Ned called him Peter because he connected the dots of Spider-Man being Peter, like their memories know they didn't come back.
right.
What do they do with the MJ and Ned character?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think if there's another Spider-Man movie, another like Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, I think they'll be in it. I think that maybe they'll pick it up from there and explain, where they are. I don't know.
Yeah.
With everything that's coming up that we know of in the MCU, who knows if there's even going to be another one? I mean, I assume there will be. I assume he's showing up in Secret Wars and that, but we'll see. If they do that. I think it'd be kind of odd for them to put that there, unless that's maybe their way of leaving it in your head that, well, here we go. He and Ned are friends again, and MJ maybe is remembering him. So let's just let you think there was a happy ending, except for, of course, the end credit scene, which just was more questions than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really did like the scene though, the handshake scene at the end. I thought that was a nice final scene of it. I did read it the way he said Peter as him remembering him, and not just saying it as, oh, you're Peter, you're Spider-Man, or anything like that.
Yeah, like it wasn't like an excited wait, Peter. It was
Yeah.
more like a wait, Peter.
Yeah. 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 And the whole thing, the scene where they were where he's like keeping his disguise on, but he's in talking to Ned and MJ in Ned's apartment, and they're she says something to him like, wow, you guys really do seem like best friends, or something like that, and she sketched a picture of them.
I thought that was a nice callback to Homecoming.
Yeah.
When she was drawing him into tension.
Yeah. So yeah.
Before we get into the post-credit scene,
Yeah.
I realized we didn't really talk that much about Punisher and Spider-Man dynamic.
Yeah.
And so many of their scenes that they had interacting. That's why I said in the initial I love Punisher and PG-13 then.
Yeah.
The one scene I was thinking about where they're in DODC trying to, they were trying to stop the Hulk at that point or something, and then they were watching them, the DODC people were watching them from their room.
Yeah.
They had them up on the video screen, and it's just the two of them arguing, and you can see Spidey wave him off and just walk away.
Yeah.
The dynamic between the two of them was so funny.
Yeah, the whole thing of Frank saying he was going to go get Jean, and and letting Peter go after the Hulk, and he goes, "Wait, are you doing that just because you don't want to fight the Hulk?" And Frank admits that's that was the whole dynamic between those two characters, and this was great. I did see a meme that was that showed Daredevil and kind of looking sad, and when you realize that kind of like him having a new friend in a red suit who's a vigilante,
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of funny too, because you're still in jail, and
Yeah, he's just found someone else.
Yeah.
I liked what was it when they were talking about the when MJ brought him, or when he brought MJ, and they were talking about the Staten Island thing, how he was doing the typical as he's what do I need to save you 2 times GFA, or he just
Yeah.
just grunting it off and that.
Yeah.
And then when they're in the hospital and he's he puts on the mask, or I guess he put on the full suit, and they're look, it's Spider-Man, and they cut to him jumping up and down, and then when they go to him in the hotel and you hear him doing the and doing his grunts as he's jumping.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I didn't realize how much I would like that part of the movie of him that's why I'm kind of upset. I mean, I guess you kind of see the relationship evolve in the movie though too. Clearly they knew each other from something that had happened previously, but they weren't friends, and I think the way it ends, I mean, when Peter wakes up from his time in the hospital and Frank's the one laying by the bed there, I thought that was just a cool kind of aspect to the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was the other thing that kind of ties MJ into memorizing him, is that she had visited him in the hospital then, because they showed the picture that she drew there next to his bed.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
like
that's
little
true
things like
too.
that kind of lead me to like there had to be some sort of like awakening for her of
Right.
like at least some sort of memory of him or something,
Right,
you know?
right. Well, and I mean, there was the thing of like, there was a scene where she says, she had read the letter and all that, and you know, she said like, I don't love you, and everybody was like, oh my God, she said she does. But then she follows that with, I don't even know you.
Yeah,
So that, I think that aspect of it made it more
which is
like,
it's fair, you know?
yeah, she's like, how can I say, how could I say that when I don't even remember you, I don't even know you.
Yeah.
So yeah, either way, I think there's like room for them to kind of recreate that whole thing if
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't remember everything that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think it's likely that she does. There was another thing I saw too. The because there was all the speculation of like Miles Morales, and I had told you I thought at first that the cop that he was friends with, that he was always talking to, I thought it was going to turn out that she was like Miles Morales' mom, and they just kind of flipped the script a little bit. Um, but I don't think that was the case, right? Because it was like her
Yeah.
kids' names were like EJ and Marley or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then
Yeah,
there was
because
that little
even
kid at
early
the
on in the movie, they were saying like how, or she had said like, you don't even know my kids' names,
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that. That yeah, that was. I could have seen that being set up that
yeah. I
one
totally
of her
thought that's
kids'
what they were
names would
doing.
have been Miles.
Yeah, and then but then there was that little kid later in the movie. And you know what I'm talking about at the end when Peter
Mm-hmm.
comes out of the hospital and there's the little kid on his dad's shoulders, with the Spider-Man suit on, and he looks
Mm-hmm.
at Spidey, he looks at Peter and does the Spider-Man thing, and I thought maybe they were setting that character up to be Miles,
Mm-hmm.
but I somebody else had said that the another theory anyway is that was actually Jean um, connecting to him, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like she wasn't there, but she was connecting to him, kind of as she was leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Because they also pointed out that that kid that you see would be too young to be Miles Morales because in
He's supposed to be like
Homecoming,
at least in high school or something.
yeah, well, and in Homecoming, the character that's supposed to be the Prowler, who's
Yeah.
Miles' uncle, mentions having a nephew, so that would
And
have been
he's
10 years
and in
earlier.
that
So
deleted scene, he's talking to him on the phone too.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah, that's right. So I don't think that could be the case. So that makes more sense then, I
Yeah,
guess.
I saw people saying the one kid that he saves, and then he hits him on the helmet, and he's like, "You good, kid? Yeah, you're good."
Yeah,
They were saying like, "Oh, that could be Miles." Like
true. Yeah,
maybe they
yeah,
could do the same thing that they did with him in Iron Man 2, where they just go back and say like, "Oh yeah, no, that was him."
yeah, yeah, yeah. They just retcon it. Yep.
Yeah,
So okay, end credit scene.
yeah. Um, what? So I'm sticking with the one of two theories. Either it's that they established the relationship between him and Yelena, so he has a connection to the new Avengers, and when they eventually all go to the X-Men universe and fight them, that they bring Peter with them.
Okay.
Or
So you're saying in that case he does show up in Doomsday?
he shows up in Doomsday and they're keeping it a
Okay.
secret. Yeah, they've been able to keep it a secret because why would you announce him
Right.
before Brand New Day comes out? Because then you're already spoiling that. I don't know, he
True.
survives Brand New Day and all that, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So like that could be it, that he shows up in Doomsday and like they've just been removing him, and like he could be one of those people standing up by the Fantastic Four or something when
Right.
Thor's giving his speech, or the one that people have said that it's like Toby or Andrew, but most likely Toby coming in. The only thing I don't remember, how did Ned's tracker work? Because
I don't
I
think they
I
explained it.
I rewatched it and it said it was new Spider-Man sighting.
Right.
Or new sighting, location unknown, new sighting.
Right.
And new
Yeah.
sighting makes it sound like it has to be someone physically seeing them.
Yeah, but then it
And
would
then
make no
reporting it to
sense
the
somebody
app
seeing them in outer space.
in space, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it's an incursion of
That could be.
another Spider-Man world, Toby's, and
Right.
the worlds are like talking to each other.
Right. That could be.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that could be.
Like the
That could.
worlds are connecting, so to speak. And so, I don't know. Somebody on
Yeah.
Toby's
I
universe
mean,
also had the spider tracker downloaded, you know?
so the only thing is, if that's how it worked, how would? Well, I guess somebody could have seen him walking into the building. I guess I was gonna say like, how would it have known that he was,
Oh, right.
right there when Ned says, "Hey, it says he's right nearby," and he's right in the room.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
Or the
so
scene
yeah,
where Punisher is using it to track him.
yeah, that was funny. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
actually very funny.
But he was like following it, and it was like moving, like as he
Yeah.
was following him.
Yeah,
So,
so I think there must be some. He's got some. Remember they're supposed to be geniuses, so he's got some kind of tech that, I don't know, tracks his DNA or something
yeah,
like that. And if that's
yeah.
the case, then my guess, if I was going to make a guess, I guess that it is that he's seeing the Toby, that it's somehow picking up the Toby Maguire one, and I think the Toby Maguire Spider-Man is going to be on the Fantastic Four's spaceship when it comes
Oh,
in.
so you think he's coming in with Fantastic Four?
Yeah, I think he's one of them that is on the Fantastic Four ship that is in the background or something that nobody, that they haven't shown yet.
I wonder what that would look like though, set up. Because like, so let's say it starts off how we think it is. How like those rumors where it's Deadpool and Wolverine going to
Right.
kill Toby's universe, right?
Universe, right?
Does so his Spider-Man gets saved from it by what? TVA?
TVA maybe, yeah. I don't know.
I think the TVA comes in and saves him, but then how does he end up on the Fantastic Four, I wonder?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
You know?
I don't know. Clearly, there's people from other, like, because isn't Thor and Hap
Yeah, he
also on that ship? So
yeah.
something has to happen to get them there too.
Yeah. That would make sense. I almost wonder because clearly Toby's Spider-Man would be the anchor being of that universe, right? That's assuming that because they haven't mentioned anchor being. Granted, like since really Ant-Man, well, I guess since Deadpool and Wolverine, there haven't been that many multiverse things to talk about anchor
Right.
beings, but you haven't really heard that
Right.
term in the movies since that. But like, I almost
Right.
wonder if they're gonna try to save anchor beings.
Mm,
You know,
that would make
because
sense. That would
his
make
Spider-Man,
sense.
there's no other hero in that universe that we
Right.
know of.
Right.
So he would most likely be the anchor being of that universe.
Right.
And I wonder if because that's not a naturally dying planet, I wonder if the TVA would go and try to save all these anchor beings to get them to like try to stop the incursions or something
Right.
like that,
Right.
you know? And then that's
Right.
how Thor and Captain America end up. Because we still don't know who the anchor being of the 616 universe is.
No, we don't. We don't. I mean, people have suggested that it's Iron Man, but he's already gone. Oh wait, the 616 universe might be dying. So there we are.
And that might be the explanation for the incursions, right? Because who
Yeah,
is the
exactly.
incursions with? It's 616, the X-Men Fox one, which we know their
Yeah.
Wolverine died.
Right.
So their planet was
Right.
already dying. And then the Fantastic Four, I don't know.
Right.
Who
Except
it
they
could be.
except they brought the other Wolverine in, and it was regenerating
Oh,
at
was
the
it?
end of Deadpool and Wolverine. They said, we've never seen this before, but it's actually regenerating.
Yeah,
So-
forget that part.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my theory though. I think it's going to be.
But yeah, I
I
can
think
see
that's
that.
why is that
Maybe-
it's Toby.
Maybe it's that like Steve takes Thor to the TVA because of Loki,
Of Loki,
you
right?
know?
Right.
And that's where they connect with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man to then go
Right,
to the 828 universe because maybe they all trust the Doctor Doom from there
right, right.
because
No,
he says
well,
he has a plan to fix it or something, you know?
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly, yeah. We will see. That'll be actually the next big thing coming up now is Vision Quest. I don't know if there's going to be anything that's going to lead into any of the multiverse stuff in Vision Quest because the stuff I've heard about it is it's kind of like the way that WandaVision was all being generated in her mind, sort of, but it was impacting reality. They're kind of making it sound like the same thing. This is like him Vision like
Mm,
in his own mind, kind of with all this. That's why like certain of the other AIs are actually being presented as with human form.
mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't know that there'll be much in there that'll tie in, but we'll see. That's coming up in what, September, right? September 25th, I think.
I thought it was October. I think
Is
September
October?
25th is
Oh,
the end
yeah,
date for
that's right.
release.
That's right. Yeah. So
Which
we've got that coming up too.
that's coming up, yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be
Yeah,
interesting to
that's
see those added scenes that are in there.
yeah, we'll have to plan to do that. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our spoilery thoughts on Spider-Man: Brand New Day. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you disagree with any of the stuff we said, or if you agree, or what your own thoughts are. And thanks for checking us out.